Adventures with Microsoft Word Copilot number 4. Greetings. I was contemplating writing a story about a young man who meets the one-eyed, one-horned flying purple people eater when on a whim I toss it to the Copilot function in Microsoft Word. I was surprised. After I read that one, I ran some other prompts by it and decided to record them. This is the 4th such experiment. So, for your listening and dancing pleasure. The Sailor and the Surfer, a tale of courage at sea. How a young girl's bravery turned the tide. At the edge of a sleepy coastal village where the dunes met the wind-swept sea, a young girl named Isla spent her days learning the ways of wind and water. With her father's old sailboat, the Sea Sprite, she explored the shifting tides and rippling currents that others feared. Isla was not reckless. She studied the moods of the ocean, listened to the seabirds' warnings, and counted the seconds between thunder and lightning. Isla's small stature belied a spirit vast as the horizon. The villagers often watched her from afar, a speck of color against the steel-blue water, confident that she would return as she always did, salt-sprayed and smiling, her brown curls tangled by the breeze. On a late summer afternoon, the sun hung low and golden over the water. The wind, usually gentle at this hour, picked up with a sudden ferocity, sending whitecaps racing toward the shore. Isla was preparing the Sea Sprite for a short sail just beyond the harbor. She checked her radio, her compass, and the red life vest she never forgot to wear. Never trust the sea. Trust your preparations, her father had taught her. As Isla adjusted the jib, a tremor of excitement ran through her. She loved the challenge the wind brought, though she kept a weather eye for trouble. She was about to launch. A commotion caught her ear. A cry, thin and desperate, carried by the wind. Shielding her eyes, Isla scanned the horizon. Far beyond the breaking waves, a flash of neon green, a surfboard, bucked wildly in the chop. Its rider, a boy about her age, clung to it, his arm waving frantically. The beach was nearly deserted, the lifeguard flag already lowered for the evening. Without hesitation, Isla loosened the Sea Sprite and slipped into the surf, the little boat slicing a path through the foaming water. The wind tore at her sails, but Isla's hands were steady, her movements practiced. She tacked out of the harbor, angling toward the distant figure. With each gust, the boat leapt forward, spray stinging her cheeks. She remembered her father's voice. Read the waves like you read the sky. The sea changes its mind in a breath. The boy, clinging to his surfboard, was being swept further from shore by the rip current and the wind. His panic was visible even at a distance, his shouts all but lost to the roar of the sea. Isla's heart pounded, but fear sharpened her focus rather than clouding it. When she drew near, Isla lashed the tiller and reached for the emergency throw line tucked under the seat. She tossed the line, calling out, "Grab the rope!" The boy lunged, fingers closing around the lifeline just as a wave threatened to sweep him under. With careful, practiced knots, Isla secured him and his surfboard to the stern. "Hold tight, we'll ride in together," she shouted over the wind. The boy nodded, his eyes wide with gratitude and cold. The journey back was harder, the wind now against them, the waves slapping the bow as Isla maneuvered the Sea Sprite in a long, looping arc toward the safety of the harbor. The little boat creaked, but held true. Isla sang softly to steady her nerves, the song lost to the wind, but comforting all the same. At last the breakwater appeared, and the sea calmed as they slipped into the lee of the harbor wall. On the shore, a few villagers had gathered, drawn by the sight of a sailboat towing a sodden surfer behind it. Cheers rose as Isla guided the sea sprite into the shallows. "Are you all right?" she asked, helping the boy, whose lips were blue but whose arms were strong, climb aboard. He nodded, breathless, managing a wobbly smile. "You saved me," he gasped, awe and relief mingling in his voice. The villagers enveloped them in blankets and questions, but Isla only shrugged, her eyes on the horizon already measuring the wind. The boy introduced himself as Leo. He had underestimated the power of the rip current, thinking he could paddle past it, but the wind had carried him further than he realized. "I shouldn't have gone out alone," he admitted. Isla grinned. "The sea doesn't care about should or shouldn't. Next time, keep your eyes on the clouds and your feet on the sand until it is safe." That evening, as the sun set in a blaze of tangerine and magenta, Isla sat with Leo at the harbor wall. The village receded into quiet as the events of the day settled in around them. "I wish I could sail like you," Leo said, his gaze following the sea sprite bobbing gently on its mooring. "You could," Isla replied, "if you want to learn. The sea gives lessons every day. You just have to listen." The summer waned and autumn crept in with its gray mists and biting winds. But Isla and Leo became steadfast friends. Isla taught Leo how to read the wind, how to tie knots, how to watch the tide chart, and never trust a calm surface. Leo told Isla about surfing, how to catch the curl of a wave, how to trust the board and your instincts, and how the sea never lets you keep the same plan for long. Together they explored rocky inlets and hidden coves, their adventures the stuff of whispered stories among the younger children in the village. "That's Isla and Leo," they'd say, pointing to the pair as they set out in the Sea Sprite. "They know the sea's secrets." Years later, when storms lashed the coast and the wind howled through the dunes, the villagers would remember the day Isla's quick thinking and steady hands brought a lost surfer safely home. It became a story told to every child who dreamed of the sea, how courage, skill, and friendship can turn the tide, and how even the smallest sailboat can carry hope across wild water. Isla never thought of herself as a hero. She simply loved the wind, the water, and the lessons the sea offered. But for Leo, and for anyone else who listened to the waves, she was the bravest sailor the village had ever known. The preceding piece was created entirely with the Copilot AI function in Microsoft Word from a one-sentence prompt I gave it. I gave it a single sentence, and it did the rest. As we look at AI and what it can do for us, and what it may do to us, this experiment is but a small example of the potential of this powerful tool. It is a tool of great power and, like all tools, may be used for good or evil. Unlike a hammer that can sit on the shelf unused for eons, this one is not going away, and it is up to each of us to decide how we use it. Decide wisely. This is Robert Cherny. Please check out my website, Stagewalker Enterprises. Have a great day.